Good morning, everyone. My name is Lori Lytle, and I'll be hosting our Mortgage Coach Training Thursday. So with today, what we're going to do is we're going to first cover the mobile device, and we're going to cover an edge report for a refinance. So first, we're going to launch a couple poll questions. So let's go ahead and start that off, Marcy. Marcy? Okay, so the poll question I see that's reading is how familiar are you with the mobile device? So we're getting quite a few. We got 44% voted. We need 75% before we can move on. So not familiar, familiar, and very familiar. Okay, that'd be great. That'd be good, Marcy. We could go ahead and close that off. So we got about 45% that aren't familiar, 45% are familiar, and then we got those 9% who are very familiar. So that's great. So let's go ahead and launch the next one, Marcy. And are you sending RateWatch alerts with your presentations with your marketing piece? So that's another thing I want to be able to show you how you'll be able to do that. So this is a good way to be able to provide your mortgage advice to your clients, even to partners. So I'll be able to show you how you'll be able to share that information with them. So that's great. And then we need a few more polling. Okay, we close that one out. Okay, so that's good. So what we're going to do today is let's start with the mobile device. So first thing I would like to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my mobile device. If you have a mobile device, iPad, phone, whichever it may be, please go ahead and have it handy, and I'll show you how to go ahead and set this up. So just one moment. Let's see, there it is. Okay. So I moved my screen a little bit, so we're going to focus on the mobile here. So what I have done is I have our Mortgage Coach app up. So first, let's go ahead and show you how you can download it. Then we're going to review how you can use the app as well as RateWatch. So first off, what you need to do is find your app store. So I'm on an iPad, so I'm going to my app store. If you're on an Android device, you would want to go to their Play Store. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my app, the App Store. Then once you get to the search engine, you want to be able to put in Mortgage Coach. So go ahead and type in Mortgage Coach. And then we'll do a search, and both apps will go ahead and, whoops, maybe if I spell, and see, you can spell Mortgage Coach incorrectly, and it will still come up. So let's go ahead and load. There we go. So with that, you can see you could download the RateWatch. We have it mobile as well as the desktop version, and we have our app. And with our app, I want to let you know we are coming out with some great new features within the next week or so, so I'll be able to discuss that with you as well. So go ahead and download those apps to your computer or to your mobile device. So what I would like to cover first is RateWatch. So this is the icon for RateWatch. So you could go ahead and open that up. And if this is the first time you have gone through RateWatch or logged in, you would want to use your email address and your password. And the password, pass123, if it's the first time that you have logged in. The same login as you use with Edge as well as RateWatch. I also want to point out that if you don't have your questionnaire open up on GoToMeeting, open it up and ask any questions along the way, and I'll address them so I'll be able to provide that information. So I'm on the day watch. So what I'm going to do first is in the upper corner, I'm going to press on that button to open up my menu. So with that, you'll be able to see all the different items you'll be able to go through with RateWatch. So what I had done is I clicked on the home screen, and now you'll be able to see the home screen. You're going to see over time how the mortgage-backed securities have changed. We use a candlestick chart, so you'll be able to see the open and close, as well as how low or how high it went that day. So this is what you'll be able to review on more of a time period. And you'll notice on our screens we have a share button in that upper left-hand corner. This is how you can share your advice. So not only with an overall view, I'll also show you how you can share the daily views. So with that, I press the share button, and you'll see how simple it is. You have a way to email this graph, send it as a test or text. If you have a Facebook page and you want to be able to post it there, you could do it, or copy it to a clipboard. So you have many options to be able to share this information with your clients, with your partners, and be able to provide them that knowledge that you have. So I'm going to go back, press that button in the upper left-hand corner, and now let's check out RateWatch. With RateWatch, you have the movement of the mortgage-backed security today. So you can see we have an alert already right here. So I'll show you how you'll be able to see that alert, as well as being able to receive those text messages. And what's nice here, you have that share button as well, so you can share that information. If you have if the rates are really volatile, you'd be able to go ahead and send that to someone who's sitting on the fence, be able to show them how the rates are moving for the day. Also in the upper right hand corner, there's a date field. So if you press that, you can go back in time and see how the rates were moving on different dates. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in the 11th, and just to be able to show you how it moved on that date. So I have 5/11 right here. I could capture that image if I wanted to share it and be able to provide that to the clients. So you have that information as well as alerts. So as we have that alert today, you'd be able to see the alerts in RateWatch, as well as being able to set that up for text alerts. So I have a question from Dave, and he recently got an Android tablet. And is there a video on how to set it up? We do have a RateWatch video in our knowledge base. We'll talk about that shortly. But it's the same, even though I have an iPad, the same flow is the same for an Android, because my phone is an Android, so same function. So you should be able to just go to that Play Store and be able to download that information, Dave. So I'm going to go and back up here and press on the menu screen. Want to point out edge views. So as you start developing these edge reports, you get email alerts. That's when a borrower has opened your presentation, closed it, and as soon as it's been closed, that's when you get that email alert. So this tells me that at 8:21 my report was closed and it was open for 42 minutes. So this is the point where you'll be able to reach out to the borrower and answer any questions, so you know they viewed the report. And I'll show you a little bit more on that email alerts later. We also have commentary. Commentary is great. We have Dan Rotwich, who provides us economic data, but it also provides it in a video format. So not only are you going to have text, you'd also have the video format, and you can always take this and bookmark it. So that way you'll be able to have that handy at any point in time. Gary's asking if you could share it to a business page. As long as it can be posted, Gary, yes, you can. Also, with items, if you want to quote any of our expert commentary here, just quote where you received it from, and then you'd be able to just go ahead and provide that to people. So experts, go ahead and just quote the source. RateWatch, you could go ahead and post that directly to your business page or to another page. So lenders, we also have a lenders tab. It's just showing how the movements in different lenders, how they're moving their rates. So you can see how a majority of them are favorable for the rates, but there's still some that are unfavorable. So you'll be able to have that information. And then going down to settings. So this is where you set up your alerts. So you have your email and SMS alerts. So press on that arrow toward the right, and you can fill out that information. So you can see I'm getting my email mobile notifications. If I want to see commentary alerts, you could get an email stating that it's been updated and it has all that commentary within the email. You also have price alerts you want to receive, and just place your phone number in here. So that's it with RateWatch. Just to be able to show you real quick, let's go to the Day Watch. And let me bring up my desktop version of RateWatch. So we have two versions. We have a desktop as well as having our mobile device. With the desktop version, you do have to have an administrator to most likely download it. So that's why it's really great and handy to have that mobile device. And I can't seem to get mine opened up. So anyhow, there is a RateWatch version. You can also download it on your desktop. So now let's go ahead and go in and start with Edge. So let me go ahead and bring that. And if anyone has any questions, actually I want to go over the report. If anyone has any questions at all with the RateWatch and then mobile device, just go ahead and put it in the question area. Your settings don't give you the same options. So, and you're on an Android device. So going into Dave, let's just open this up a little bit. Whoops. So let's go into the settings. So you don't have that same information. Oh, it's on your iPhone. So you don't have it on the settings there. So you should be able to have this information. What I could do is, Dave, you can email us at support@Mortgage Coach. Let's dive into that a little bit further. So this way I can at least continue on with the training. So you should be able to see a setting, so I'm curious on why you're not. So please let us know. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our mobile app. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my RateWatch. And now if you downloaded, you want to be able to click on the Mortgage Coach app. So with the Mortgage Coach app, you'll be able to do a couple different items. You'll be able to see when the borrower clicks on the, when you click on the link, the borrower, if they haven't downloaded the app, it takes them directly to the App Store for the download. It's a free download. Then they click on the link again, and the report automatically opens up. So with it, you can have a quick tour if you're a little unfamiliar with the Mortgage Coach app. There's also a sample that you can view. This arrow here, as you start using the app, whoops, let's go through the history one. That's the one I want to push. If you go to the history, you'll notice you'll see all the reports that you've viewed. So you'll be able to go into different reports as you start working with those clients. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just select an app that a loan that I worked on the other day. So once you click on it, you'll see that I have a message that's going to be put on shortly. You'll always get the disclosure text, this language. And so the borrower has to click I understand to view the report. So that's a compliance piece that is on all your reports. And this is the style of the mobile app here. So you'll have all your contact information just like you have on the desktop version. And then you just dive into the different areas. So we have our summary. If you go into the summary area, you'll be able to see we have the summary, payment breakdown, closing costs, and reinvestment. I'm not spending that much time into this right now because when we review our report, we're diving into the mobile device a lot more deeper. So we also have our mobile payments, so you can see the monthly payment saving in a graph, as well as having all that data for them to review. So and then when you go back, we have our short-term savings, so they'll be able to view the short-term as well as all the data that belongs surrounding that. And again, we review this a little bit more when we go into our report, as well as our long-term interest and MI. So you have your graphs as well as your data. And if you're not as familiar working with a mobile device, just all I'm doing to go from side to side is just swiping it left, right. You also have the more info button right here that you can easily touch that will also move your screen. We place the disclosure language, so if they want to be able to review that language again, they could go ahead and do so with that button. And then in the left-hand corner, you can always do your swiping, but we also have that back button, and it brings you back. You'll notice that we have a record button. We are, the new enhancement that we have that I'll be talking about on next week's call is we'll be able to actually do a video directly from your iPad. And for those of you who use Edge Live, we're also going to have the capability of using Edge Live as well from the mobile device. So we've got a lot of great updates that are coming in. Next week we'll review it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do for now, let's go ahead and move the mobile device off the screen and let's dive into Edge. So first off, what you're viewing is our knowledge base. You can always access our knowledge base from let me turn this up, directly from the help button within Edge. So I have it up right now, so I want to be able to just point out a couple items. We do have a monthly calendar of events. If you click on that, you can see all our different coaching calls, the topics for the month. We have our Training Thursday, which are on. Intro, if you're beginner to Edge, want a little bit more information, this Friday class is a great class. It goes through very slowly and explains the fields as well as the report. Today, we're really diving into it. So, you know, sometimes people, when the first time they get on, it might be a little overwhelming, but definitely stay on because you can hear all the things you could do in Edge. So when you build your knowledge, you'll be able to see exactly what you can able to do. So you have a 101 course as well and a 102. And to be able to get a list of those courses, just click on that link and it'll be able to give you all that topics. And again, there's all the different topics to familiarize yourself with Edge, all the different types of presentations, as well as using the widget. We have a couple other items in here. So there's our schedule, so you'll be able to get the information for our different trainings, as well as our coaching call archive. Want to point out that today's call plus all our Tuesday coaching calls are recorded and put on our coaching call webpage. So if you're also starting out with Edge, there's this Josh Metal. It's in December. His coaching call, it's great. So it really surrounds how he uses Edge, how he uses it, and it provides scripting and everything else. So that's a great video to be able to watch. So now let's jump into Edge. So with Edge, it's just edge.mortgagecoach.com, and go ahead and put in your email address and password. So as soon as we log in, I do have a sample already created, so let's go ahead and review this report, and then I'll show you how we create it. So with this, what I had done is I'd taken a current mortgage. They only have had it for 2 years. You can see the rates are pretty much the same as it is today. But what has happened is they have increased, the value of the property has increased over that time period. So with that, they can actually get a lower rate of mortgage insurance. So that's what I'm going to show here. But I like ARM loans. So what I'm going to do is dive into ARM loans, because depending on their goals, if they're not really staying in their house and planning to move, that might be an option to be able to discuss with them. So I have a 5-1 ARM worst, that's what the W stands for, and a 5-1 best case. And when we go through that, we'll discuss both of those options so you understand how you really could dive into ARM products. If you notice, I've been highlighting, and all I'm doing with my highlights is I'm just left clicking on that label. So if you left click, you could go ahead and highlight the column. Notice at the very bottom there's a clear all button. That clears out all your highlights at once. So when we get into showing the program, when diving into Edge Live, and we're actually going to be removing products, talking about products. So Edge Live is going to be a little bit different and really focus on the conversation. So we'll cover that, show you how to highlight and be able to use Edge Live with your clients. So I'm going to go ahead and move back to Edge. And I'm in the very last screen, which if I hover my mouse over presentation, I'm in that preview screen right here. So what I'm going to do is start off just by clicking on the client. And for those of you who are new to Edge, you can see that we have the tabs to go through. Going through quick, the first 4 screens only has about 4 fields you have to key in. So we'll review that so you know how to get through quickly. In our assumptions, we're going to dive into that current mortgage, how you can key it in, and then we'll go into our products. So with that very first screen, you'll be able to put in the borrower's name, co-borrower if you have that, as well as a phone number. The rest of the fields here, you could capture a referral. You can also, if you want an email alert to be sent to another person, you'll be able to provide it in the partner email. So you'll be able to, if you have an assistant or want to be able to working with a partner, they want a copy, place their email address in there and they can receive an email alert as well. Friendly name field, this is just a reference. I just said a refi, annual mortgage review, just something. So if you're doing another loan for Sammy Sample and want to use our copy function, you'll know what that report was that you created. So now moving on, we do in our goals screen, you can go ahead and identify the goals of your client. This case, I'm just moving on, making it easy because it was designed to use on the phone, so you'd be able to capture this data quite easily. If you're doing a purchase, always mark this box here because then it makes it a purchase product and you remove that refinance scenario right here. So moving on. Now we're going to start diving into that refinance. You can see there's quite a few fields. If you've done refis, you've been filling out a lot of different fields here. So with that, you could put in the current monthly mortgage. You notice I left it empty. You don't have to put a number in here. You could put that P&I payment just so you have it on record, because a lot of times, you know, the borrower gives you a payment, but they really don't know what that payment is or not quite sure what. So you could place that in there. We don't use that number, but it's more for a reference. So we have the property purchase amount of $375, and that was the original appraised value, and now it's being appraised at $425.50. Current payoff total. I'll talk about this field in just one moment. I want to cover the refinance first and then come back to it so it won't be as confusing. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and advance the screen. Now we're going to dive into that current mortgage. The way I have it set up, you could say it's easy, and a lot of times you might not have all this information. So I do know in this case, I'm putting in the information because I know it, and then we'll go ahead and discuss what happens if you don't know what the date is or the rate, things like that. So with it, I went ahead and put in of April, and I'm going to be redoing this. Okay, so whoops, I keep putting the current date. So 4/13, and we'll pick 2013. So it was a couple years back. At that time, they went ahead and they took a loan out for $375,000. Interest rate at that time was 4. I went on the HSH website, did the history, found out that 4% for a fixed rate 30 loan 2 years ago was 4%. So it's basically around the same amount today. You'll notice as soon as I put in that original loan amount, my remaining balance updated. So with that, with this criteria that's put in, they paid down the loan about $15,000 in that 2-year period. Down at the base, you'll see a P&I payment. So if your borrower has provided you this P&I payment but might not know that interest rate, you could play around with it. So if you know this number and that's constant, you could go ahead and increase that interest rate trying to get to that P&I payment. You could decrease it, trying to see where it is to get closest to that P&I payment. Again, this is an estimate. It's a loan option. You might not have this data until you make that commitment and start really working with it. So you put in as much as you can and get its best estimate, and then you can always come back in and update it with the accurate numbers once you start talking with them. And you could do that on Edge Live as well. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and put in our interest rate back at 4%. And then what I'm going back to the field. So calculated wise, this is our remaining balance. But this is based off of a straight amortization schedule. So what if they've applied money to principal? This number wouldn't be exact. So that's what, if we move back a screen, you'd be able to provide that payoff total here. So if it was a lesser number, and then you can see that if you hover your mouse over, it will provide that description. So if you know what the payoff is going to be, and some people want the payoff true from a month from now, you could go ahead and use this field, and this is our cash to close field. So this is what we work on and use to determine the cash to close, because that's what the outstanding balance will be at that time. So I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the question box. I could explain a little bit more. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to copy that ending balance because I'll show you why in a moment. So with this, we have our basic product set up. At that time, they have 0.97 MI factor, and then I just estimated the taxes for now. And again, you can always override this if you know the exact number, be able to place that in there, or by putting in a percentage. So either way you want to go, put in an estimate, you'll be able to do that. So let's go ahead and put in that amount. And we'll move on. So once you put in that factors, we're done with our information and we'll continue on. If you have refinances, just real quick, that has second liens, we do have the option to show that. You can resubordinate that second or roll it into your new product. So it depends which way. So want to be able to point that out, and we do have a video tutorial showing you how to do it. So moving on, we have our affordability screen. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this empty because we want to focus on products and the refinance. So it's same with this affordability screen, and I'm in our products. So now what we want to do is a fixed rate loan. So with that, what I'm going to do is use my copy from function. So I'm going to redo these whole numbers here. So if I do a copy from, I'm copying from my current client because I know that mortgage already has all the information I need. So if I press OK, you'll notice all that data carried over. I have my new sales price, my appraised value carried over, and I have it as a current mortgage right now. So as soon as I mark it as a refinance, my screens change slightly. I have my property value, my appraised value, and then the base loan amount carried over for me from my current mortgage. So this is my starting point. This is where is my new loan. This will be my new loan amount. So to make it a little different, I've been seeing a lot of fixed rate loans right now for 4%. So it's the same rate as the current mortgage, but just to show you how it is changing MI. So that's all the information here. Always remember, if you use that copy function with the current mortgage, always make sure you mark it as a refinance. If for some reason you want to show the current mortgage as one of your products, you could do that as well. And a lot of people do that to show the analysis screen in reinvestment. Moving on, I have all my fees, and let's put in 15 days prepaid interest. And to add the fees, all I did is go to my closing cost details. I have some fee templates already built. I select my fee template. Gotta remove a 2 months hazard. And you'll see once you have fee templates built, it's really great to be able to just go ahead and enter a couple items that are variable. So I'm just going to put in $875 as my owner's title and lender's fee, and then I'm done. Just a moment. Okay. If you're on an enterprise account and you have fee templates in here, they might not be for your branch, and you might be going in here and having to make a modification, say, to your processing fee. Say you only charge $400. If you notice that, instead of having to make that change every time, you could create your own fee template by using Save as Template at the bottom right-hand corner. This will allow you to create your own custom fees by using what the corporate office has provided you. So you could go ahead and just rename the fees in this area. If you originate multiple states, you could create fee templates based on multiple states and be able to have those easily at hand. So again, once you create one, you modify it, always save it as a template, so you just build out that arsenal. So I'm going to go ahead and apply to loan, total all my APR fees, non-APRs, my prepaid escrows. You'll notice those are all grayed out. So if you ever want to make a modification, just go back into your closing cost details, make the adjustment, and always apply to the loan. Now let's move to our monthly costs. So you could see with that copy function, it copied over all my monthly costs, and now we want to go ahead and modify our MI. So you'll see that it was at 0.97, and I'm going to change it to 0.62. So with that, I've made that change, and I've also went ahead and put in my reserves. So now we're done with that fixed rate product. Now I want to go ahead and show you how you'll be able to create ARM products. And I personally love ARM products. I like the way they work. It's a great way to be able to get in the house at a lower rate. So with that ARM product, what you could do is a couple different items. And what I had done is go ahead and place the title, and the title needs to be 12 characters. If you're working with Optimal Blue or any of the APIs that carry data down to Edge, always make sure your title is 12 characters. So you'll see that I have it marked as a refinance, And then you would want to use different templates that you have created. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start it from scratch so I can show you how you'll be able to develop that template. So we have our 425 is our appraised amount. And let's, because I had done a couple things here, what I'm going to do is press no. I'll show you this one. And then yes. That's a quick way, that toggle, to refresh all my current mortgage information. So you can see now my base loan amount is the same as my outstanding balance of my current mortgage. So all I did was press no, press yes again, and it refreshes my data for my current mortgage. So now I went ahead and put an interest rate at 2.75, and then just go ahead and the drop down for loan type suggest ARM. The difference now is when you advance the screen, you have area to fill in your ARM details. And once you do this twice, you can, once you have done this once, you'll be able to save it as a product template. So you won't have to do this again. So if you're on an enterprise account, you might have had a 5.1 product template set for you, and you pulled it down, you can see how it's filled out. So I'm doing a 525 ARM. So my first adjustment potentially could be 5%. My first adjustment month is month 61. That's when that payment changes. Periodic cap is 2 every 12 months thereafter. My max rate is 5 above the 2.75, so I have 7.75. You could default your margin as well. Those tend to move slowly. And for your index type, just go to the down arrow and select what type of index. You'll notice that we provide that percentage for you and with that information. And the floor, if you don't know your floor, always put your margin so it doesn't go below. So in this particular product, we're doing a worst and a best case scenario. And if you're providing ARM products to your borrower, it's a good idea to show one of each. What worst case will do is provide you the worst adjustments. In a sense, it's going to go and show the borrower if the rates have changed between now and 5, potentially you can have a 5% increase. So it's a great way to really educate them about the ARM products. So this is showing the worst case scenario that could potentially happen at that first rate change. And if you're familiar with the Reg Z and those summary boxes, the worst case is that max payment that is on your till. Moving to the left or to the right, you have your fee templates. Again, you could just go to the closing cost details, grab your fee template, and then apply it to the loan. And now then our next one, you go ahead and you have your information here. And you know what? My numbers changed for LTV percentages, so I'm actually quite low. We'll work with this after a moment with the LTV percentage because you can see how it's getting close. They wouldn't want MI at that point in time. So just be able to show, we'll continue with this the way I have it, but just to point out the LTV is quite low and most likely you wouldn't have MI. But we're going to show it with MI for now, but just keep that in mind. So now initially I have my LTV below 90%, right around there, and you know the MI factor for that would be about 0.62. So with that, I added it. I have my 78% cutoff, and then I put in my reserve number of months. So now this is the best way of doing it. Now let's show you the best case. And this is really easy to create because you're using that copy from button. So with the copy from, we've already created the ARM product once. So let's copy from the ARM product, press OK, and all our data carried over. All the changes we had made to the property value as well as the base loan amount. And as we advance our screen, you'll see all the ARM data carried over. But the difference is we want to show best case. So best case, we'll go ahead and choose that. And what the best case will do is take the interest rate to that fully indexed amount. And that is what's used to calculate the APR. So this way you could show exactly the best case. If the rates pretty much stay where they are today, this is what you're looking at. If the worst case and the rates really increase, this is the payment you have. So that's why it's really great to provide both loan options to the borrower. So now as we advance the screen, we have our fees. Just again, closing costs. It automatically copied from my first product. and then my monthly cost. So that copy from button, as you start working with Edge, it's going to really speed you through that process. And then what we could do in a little bit, we could show add another product, and we can increase that loan amount and show cash out. So with that, our next screen is our analysis screen, and we'll be able to provide the information here. So in the analysis screen, you'll be able to see your current mortgage. If for some reason maybe you're showing a 15-year product, it will have a higher payment than your current mortgage. Always make sure you use these benchmark settings over here to make sure you're pointing at the current mortgage, especially on refinances. You always want to make sure. And just to show you what that does, if I select the 5-1, the best case, everything is now comparing against the best case. So that's what the benchmarks will do for you. So we'll put it back on current. And what we're going to talk about in a bit is about our short-term savings as well as our long-term. So property appreciation rate, I have it 60. And with the short-term, I have it showing 5 months. What's happening here is with the ARM products, the rate has not changed because remember it changes on the payment changes on the 61st month. So with that, we're just showing fixed rate loans at 2.75. Also, how do you know if the borrower is broken even? You know, the refinancing, they have those costs. So is it worth their while to be able to refinance? So in the short term, this would be able to help you out to determine that. So let's start with 24 months. And you can see that fixed rate product has not recouped its costs. So let's go ahead and increase it to 26 months. Still hasn't. So let's try 28. Should just jump to 30, huh? Okay, just there we go. So at 34 months, they've recouped their costs on a fixed rate product. You'll notice they've already recouped it on the ARM products because that low interest rate. Also, you have your total interest in MI. Total net worth, you could show them that, which is if you use the reinvestment strategy, it's always good to show that net worth, or total principal paid. So let's go ahead and put that short-term analysis at 60 months. I'll show you when we get to the report how you'll be able to provide that information to the borrower. So now we're advancing, we're going to our report. Contact information, just put your information in there for the contact. The property address will print on the top part of your report. And want to point out, if you want an amortization schedule, I had a couple of people through the support box. If you want to be able to see an amort schedule, just indicate so here. Advance the screen, you could choose your product, and you could go ahead and be able to see an amortization schedule on the product. So now let's go to presentation and go directly to our preview, and let's discuss the report. We're going to discuss the report as well as bringing up the mobile with it and working with Edge Live. So now you can see our current mortgage being compared to a fixed rate, and you thought you would show them an ARM product. So what I'm going to do before we dive into the report, you'll notice on the lower right-hand corner there's a share button. That will be able to provide the link for you to share quickly, either if you have a question with support, want to grab it for your email to be able to have the borrower click on that link, quick way of grabbing it. So I'm placing that link in the chat box. What I would like you to do, if you want to follow along, I would like you to go ahead and click on that link that will provide it as a desktop. I'm also bringing up my mobile device. If you want to have yours handy, we'll be able to show you how you can drive the report. You'll be able to experience me being able to drive that for you. So let's go ahead and bring up our mobile device. Just one moment. Oh, it's hiding. Okay, there we go. So with that mobile device, what I'm going to do is bring back my screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now with that, we have our share button. I'm going to put that in the corner and then bring back our mobile and show you how you'll be able to enter this information in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to clear out this line. You could just go ahead and clear out this, but it's just easy to be able to show you. I clicked on the link. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and remove that altogether, and then I'll go ahead and tell you the numbers. So it's 16 RT 70. So once you key in that number, that's really all you need once you have the app downloaded. Then if you press that arrow, it will go ahead and open the report for you. Oh, put in the link. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. 16 RT 70. And you can see once you've clicked on it, it will open up. Okay, so we'll press I understand. So we're all set with that. So let's bring up my mobile again. So what we're going to do is discuss the report. So first thing I want to do is I did provide the link in the chat box, and I wanted to point out that in the lower left-hand corner, I have two viewers. So I have two people reviewing the report. One of those is me on my iPad, and the other happens to be one other person. So I have all these people on the call. So if you want, please click on that link. You'll be able to see how many viewers, be able to increase that number. So this is a great way to be able to provide information to your, if the borrower is viewing the report. So now you see we have 3, so someone just joined with that. So next what we have is, so we're getting that and getting the increase. So let's discuss the report. So let's bring over the mobile device. Shrink it down. It's going to turn back on shortly. So with the current mortgage, you'll be able to highlight it and discuss the information you have. So you have the remaining balance is roughly 360, and once you get that information from the borrower, you can always make those updates. So based on the criteria, this is what they have, and they have a little more than 27 years to pay. You're going to refinance them, show them an option of a fixed rate, and you want to be able to show them the option of the 5/1 ARM. Want to point out a couple items. You'll be able to see a payment stream at the base. It shows that you have MI for a couple months before it drops. Thank you, Bob, for letting me know you couldn't hear me. I accidentally leaned on my mute button. So great. So not quite sure. I think it was just I was discussing the different. Did you already get the payment stream? I think you went ahead. I covered that. Did you hear that? If you didn't, let me know and I'll cover those buttons. So let's dive into the more info. And you can see how you have your payment breakdown. So you can really drive that P&I payment, be able to show them that information, as well as those monthly costs. You also have your closing cost details. So you'll be able to discuss the fees with them, clicking on that fee detail. And then we also have that reinvestment strategy. So you have a lot of information within this area. You also have your monthly payment savings. So if you click on the more info, current mortgage, highest payment, and how much they're saving over that particular product. So for those people, some people learn by reading, looking at numbers, figuring it out. So all they have to do is look at the difference between that to know the monthly savings. But it's so much quicker to look at the graph and go, oh, 436. So it's another way of being able to reach out to the borrower in a quick way in a graphical format. Dive into the more info. You have the information about your monthly payment savings. If you had a second lien, it would display here as well. And now that's short-term savings. So short-term isn't the 436 times by 60 to get this figure. What this is the figure of the unrecoverable costs. So if you dive into that more info button, you could go ahead and click on that interest MI. And for those of you who are following on the mobile, you should be seeing me driving that report for you. So you're now having this opened up for you. And I'll show you shortly as we dive into Edge Live a little more. You also add those closing fees, those interest and MI over that time period, and that's the total cost. Those are your unrecoverable costs the borrower's not getting back. And that's what we're doing our savings comparison against. As you start getting more familiar with TRID, and we're approaching that August 1 date, you'll also notice that they have an area on the form, the loan estimate, discussing that 5-year option, how much interest they have paid during that time period, and a lot of information. So that we have this information, start getting comfortable with it, and then you could start explaining it more so to the borrowers in that type of format. And then you just have your long interest and MI paid. So with that more info button, you can see how we have the home value, but it's great to have the loan balance at the end of that period, so you have to be able to provide that, how much equity they have, principal, and pity payment. So now let's dive into Edge Live and how you can really work it. So I'm going to the share button. It's the easiest way for me. Press copy. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm pasting that link in. So just as if a borrower went ahead and clicked on that link. So let me show you the difference between these two reports, and this is how you'd be able to practice. With Edge Live, it's best just to be able to take your 2 screens. Most likely everyone has double monitors now, the 2 screens, and place it on one side, and then place your report on the other. And that's the easiest way to learn. I'm putting it side by side so you'll be able to see that experience. And you can see my mobile app is right underneath. So with that, first off, let's go ahead and bring over my disclosure. The borrower clicks it, he understands. Now you're talking with the borrower. So because I opened this new link, I've increased my number of viewers to 6. So we can see that, how that's been updated. So this way, if someone might have their in-laws or something like that on the phone, you're aware of that. So now, first let's clear all our highlights. You'll notice I pressed that clear all button. There's no clear all button on the borrower's copy because we don't want them to make any modifications. They can't highlight, they can't remove the clear all. So now as you discuss it, the current mortgage with the borrower, you can see how you can highlight it, and it's driving the borrower's report. You provided them with a fixed rate. You can even point out on the fixed rate, yes, it is the same interest rate, but you'd be able to provide them that information about mortgage insurance and provide possibly they're below that 80%. They don't need mortgage insurance, or just to get that lower rate. So you can even dive into the more info buttons with them. You can see how it will go ahead and display on the report. And then it's also driving my mobile device. So you can see that I'm in my payment area here as well. So if I click on in this area what the P&I payment would be, you can see how it highlighted on the desktop version, and it will also highlight on my mobile device as well. So with that, let's move it to our closing cost details, and you'll be able to review with them the fee details. So I'm going into my fee details. I want to point out, say you want to talk about recording fees, because everyone wants to talk about recording fees. But you see how it will go ahead and place that blue line as well on the borrower's copy. So you could really drive the report. You're being transparent. You're showing them their fees. This would be just like your fee cost sheet. But you're driving it. So it's not just audio to be able to talk to the borrower. You're driving the report for them so they can follow along and really understand their loan options. So now you want to talk about the ARM products. You can see how I highlighted it, and the graphs get highlighted as well. So with that, you could discuss the payment stream. You could discuss the MIs being dropped, and then at the rate, the 60th month, 61st, it will go ahead and the rate's bumping, and this is the worst it can ever go. Hey George, how you doing? I'm glad you're on the call. It's just, George is asking if we don't need to calculate MI. It's not so much of calculating MI, it's based on the loan to value. And in this particular case, I changed the numbers while we were talking. And because of that, my LTV is a little low. So it really depends on yours. So great, this is how the worst potential rate could change at 7.75. So I'm showing you the worst potential payment you can have at the end of the 5-year mark. So you could show them and really dive into those ARM products, because even on an ARM, on a TIL or an immunization, you can't really explain those ARM products or dive into them. So you could show here that in the best case, it goes to fully indexed, and at this point in time, this is what the figure would be, and that's the payment at the rate change. So you could really be able to dive into those ARM products and educate the borrowers, because especially after all those negams, no one wants an ARM, but you can really guide them through it and really show them how much financial sense. So we talked about the unrecoverable cost. We talked about where their break-even point was. How do you want to show that to the borrower? So what I'm going to do is move this up a little bit. We're going to talk about that lower right-hand corner. I'm going into my Edge account now, and I'm going to my analysis screen. So in the analysis screen, that's where we want to go ahead and change that 60, and I believe it was 34 months, was it? Let's see. Yep, we're positive. So I want, it's showing 60. As soon as you advance the screen in Edge, that will make the update. That's your save, and you'll notice now that your report just updated to 34 months, as well as the report here will update us shortly, as well as your mobile device. So you'll have all those options to be able to show them that you break even at the 34th month. So going back to the analysis screen, you can also then show them, let's take a look at how this is going to look at after the rate changes. So let's put the month of 84 in there. So that's 7 years. So you can see how things are changing, but if the rates go well, I mean, you're doing quite good. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit more on the report. So with that, you can see we're at the 84-month period over here, and you can see I have this huge savings. And just take a look in that More Info button. You can see why. It's because that interest rate is still at that low mark, because the fully indexed rate at that point in time is lower. But you can see if it went to that the full ceiling, you're paying a lot more in interest. So you'd be able to point that out. But it's still at this point less than the fixed rate loan. So you're getting close on the fixed rate. Let's just see how it is at the 10-year mark. So let's change 84 to 120 because they plan to be in their house at least 10 more years. So our rate adjusted at the 10th month, at the 60th first month. So now you could see on an ARM loan, if the rates really did start increasing at the 10th year, that was a bad move for them. So you could be able to point that out. You're educating them on both situations. But with that, you'd be able to find their goals. How long do they plan on being in the house? If they do plan on being it over 10 years, they might see this and go for the fixed rate product. So now how do you want to be able to remove products from here? So let's go into Mortgage Coach, And let me open up the screen a little bit because I'm changing screens. I'm hovering my mouse over presentation and I'm going in to select report. You'll see at the base here that you can uncheck any of these products. So let's say I wanted just to remove the worst case scenario for the borrower, just to be able to see what the difference will be. Advance the screen, that makes your update, and then it will go ahead and remove that product, not only from the desktop version, it will remove it from the mobile device as well. So you can see how that just made a quick adjustment. You'll notice there's more savings on the conventional product as well. Let's remove the other ARM product because they did, this way if you're providing loan options, a lot of times people only know fixed rates. So you could give them other options. If they decide, nope, I want the fixed rate, you see how I moved back and was able to provide that comparison just with the current mortgage and the fixed. You could do the same as having those products out there and be able to add them. So I want, you ask for a fixed rate product, you're showing them a fixed rate, but you want to take a moment and show them an ARM product. So add the best case scenario, and then you'll see the report update with that second product. So now you could discuss that best case scenario, how much savings, even at that 10-year mark, they potentially can make. But now again, you need to talk to them about the potentials of ARMs. Well, this is the best case scenario where it's increasing to the margin plus index. But let's, if the rates do increase, let's take a look at that as well. So with that, you're adding the second product, and it's going to appear on the report now as well. So you can discuss with them that worst case scenario. So what I wanted to do is point out today is you can create a report even if they ask for only one product. You have a couple products in the wings, so you could show them, the first fixed product. You can add the ARMs or provide all the products and then remove it as you talk. So that's with Edge. You can really dive into Edge, make any kind of changes, add products, change down payments. Maybe they want to apply money to principal. So there's so much you could do with Edge, and it's in real time. So you're not reprinting any kind of fee cost sheets or any kind of documentation and resending it. You're doing it in live time with them through Edge Live. So with that, what we're going to be doing is wrapping up the call. It's 10 o'clock. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the question area. If there's something specific you want to be able to see on our coaching call, please put it in the question area or email us at support. We'd like to be able to address any of your questions and show you how you can use Edge. So with that, everyone, thank you so much for attending. I'll be around for a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, I'll stick around, put it in the question area. But other than that, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday. Thank you.